Awesome. So I work. My name is Nadim Karam. I work in Arts and Science, head of digital transformation. And for the past couple of years, really, we've been sort of analyzing and identifying how can we integrate digital marketing within. How can we integrate blockchain within digital marketing? So why would we want to do that? You guys might have heard in digital marketing today is not. I mean, it's not. There are many challenges. Namely, number one, that it's very complex. So recently there was a survey done by Deloitte that estimated for an advertiser to serve an ad to their customer and get that data back to them, it goes through 23 different intermediaries. So there are 23 different people within that supply chain to get an advertisement from that nanosecond when you go into a website and you see that ad. There are 23 different participants that have got it there and then back. And the problem really is that these 23 different participants have systems that are opaque. So each one has their own system of measurement, and they have their own standards of what they consider to be an impression. And these are black boxes, so no one has visibility on what the other person is measuring, which leads to inefficiency because there's no mechanism for us to connect these parties. And if anyone that works in the digital marketing space would know that there are usually, I mean, always actually up to 10 to 15% discrepancy between our reports and our partners' reports. And typically we just say, this is normal. There's always going to be this discrepancy. But why? It's because of these issues that we're facing. And because of these issues, this is really now the perfect playground for fraud. And there's a lot of different types of fraud. I won't go through each one. But you might have heard that there's a lot of wastage in digital marketing, and some of the more creative ways of doing that, for example, is ad stacking, where when you see an ad, actually behind it there are tens and hundreds of ads that you don't see, but when you click on it, the other advertiser gets charged for the ad that you haven't seen, which is in the back. Another one is, for example, pixel stuffing. So when you go into a website, they will serve you the ad, but the ad will only be just one single pixel, so you don't even see it. So they charge the advertiser for the money, access, and they serve the ad, and it was just actually one small pixel that was never seen. Some statistics of digital marketing today, that up to 60% of every ad dollar spent, every advertising dollar spent, goes into digital abyss. It's gone through waste, fraud. We don't know where that goes, really. And 20% of online ads are never actually seen by humans, like the pixel stuffing that I was referring to. And really the problem is that it's not just that it's, these numbers are big, but the problem is that the numbers are getting bigger. They're actually doubling on average every 2 to 3 years. So by 2022, we're expecting $44 billion in fraud. That's a massive number considering this industry. And obviously the industry is not happy. You have some of the biggest advertisers in the world that are demanding for change, demanding for more transparency. These are quotes from key personnel within P&G and Unilever, who are the biggest advertisers globally. And you might have heard at some point, these two companies, massive advertisers, they actually boycotted many of the platforms like Google and Facebook because they were not offering the level of transparency that the industry is demanding. And so what is the problem? What's the source of this problem? As I mentioned previously, it's all about walled gardens. So no one has access to, for example, how any platform calculates an advertisement. So we are left to have to trust whatever they tell us. So in effect, they are grading their own homework, which is obviously not fair, conflict of interest. Again, they're all siloed, so you have no access to it, and you don't communicate. So each person has their own source of truth, and then you have to reconcile those 23 different parties in the ecosystem. And so there's lack of auditability. So even if within these 23 players, even if someone is actually adding value, because it's so opaque and not transparent, they're not even able to prove the added value that they're giving, so leading to lack of trust. Now, advertisers, there's a big sentiment saying, this is all wasteful. I don't trust anyone because of these, even though there are some people that are actually trying to do a good job. So this is where blockchain comes in, really. So the essential promise of blockchain is to guarantee that you see what I see. It creates a shared reality across non-trusting entities. So blockchain's value lies in its power to automate and scale trust. So that's really the problem. The problem is that when you're talking about digital marketing, an advertiser might have to deal with so many different parties that they don't even know and they don't trust. So blockchain really provides this ability, and digital marketing makes perfect sense among so many other different industries, is because this allows us to then, transact with our ecosystem partners without even having to know them or trust them in an automated manner, in a scalable manner. It really changes everything. So obviously many of you know what a blockchain is, but I'm gonna rephrase it and how that is relevant to digital marketing. So this is a well-known definition. So a shared ledger, it's a shared ledger that appends event data. So you can only add a new event data, new impressions, i.e. it's immutable. So whatever has done before, for a fact that no one can change that, which is an important property that is not available in many other systems. So it appends event data from participants of the network based on a shared consensus mechanism. So as I said, we have many different parties. They grade themselves differently. So when we say a shared consensus mechanism, it means that as an advertiser, what I want to pay for, what I'm looking for, is when an ad meets specific criteria for me. It's fully viewable, it's for my target audience, it's on a specific website or content that I want. And so through smart contracts, you're able to see, has this impression solved all the different, or met all the different criteria that this advertiser has asked for? And if so, it's directly automatically added and appended because it agrees to the consensus mechanism criteria. So that's how it would sort of relate to digital marketing. This is the same definition, general definition of blockchain. So how will this come to life? Basically, the idea is to move away from what you currently see. And if you notice, again, many different participants within digital marketing space, and each one of them have their own ledger of what's happening. So the agency thinks that they've served this many impressions. The supplier thinks that they've served maybe a different number. The advertiser might have a different number. So they all have different ledgers. Eventually, it takes up to 120 days sometimes to reconcile and pay. To move to a single source of truth, a unified ledger, where everyone is looking at the same source of truth, so that they don't even need to reconcile at the end. Everything is automated because everything is based on that consensus mechanism we spoke about. And so blockchain offers greater transparency through a single and unified view of how digital media is purchased and delivered. Some of the benefits won't go through each one. Actually, the more we dig, the more we see even more benefits that we haven't even considered before. But obviously greater efficiency because you have a much cleaner supply path, immediate reconciliation and payment. This is for anyone that works in this field, this is a very time-consuming task. So it saves a lot of time, money, and effort really to automate all of that. Everything is cryptographically secured. Your data as an advertiser or a supplier is only shared to the people that have access to share this. And so it allows us to move from middlemen of necessity to middlemen of value. Today, as advertisers, we are forced to work with middlemen that sometimes we don't even know, but we just need them because we don't have visibility. So that's today, middlemen of necessity. You just have to. But we would like to move. It doesn't mean that we're cutting all middlemen. The point is for the advertisers to choose which middleman they want, the middleman that they add value to their business, because they know what they're getting. So it's a little different paradigm. So we're not saying kill all the middlemen, because there are many people within the supply path that add a lot of value, enrich the marketing campaigns. So yeah, that's the concept there, and reduction of fraud as well. Clearly, because you just now have one unified source of truth. And it's a growing industry. So I mean, when I first got interested in blockchain in 2017, I was working in digital marketing as well. And so I was interested to see how many companies or offerings are available around blockchain, to solve for digital marketing. Back then, when I first joined, there were only 22 companies when I checked. It was clear that it was still a very immature, young market. Then when I started looking at this again more seriously in 2019, there were mushroomed to 300 companies. And now today there's over 1,000. And, you know, consensus is among most of the marketing professionals is that this is, you know, this is coming. So it's only going to grow. And so anyone interested in digital marketing and has a passion for blockchain, I think now is the right time. There's a good, exciting space for you. So the reason why I personally believe that this, you know, integration of blockchain within digital marketing is inevitable is because the incentives align for all the key players within the digital marketing space. So when you think of it, it's the marketer who's advertising, who's paying, then you have the publisher who's creating the content, and then you have the consumer who is consuming the content and interacting with the ads. And so when you integrate blockchain, every one of them has an advantage to gain. So marketers get more accountability. They know that they're getting for what they pay for. Publishers can monetize further, can charge maximize their yield. And consumers get ensured data security of their own because they own that data. Very similar to the BAT model, if anyone has seen it, the Brave browser model. So how it works, previously with, you know, when we had siloed players, in the report, it was only aggregated. So they would tell you from this date to this date, you've served 2 million impressions. So with blockchain, the necessity is to have log level data, to be able to see impression by impression data. And then we create a unique ID so that you're able to follow that, identify each impression by impression and follow it throughout the supply chain. And this is where blockchain then comes in with a smart contract to automatically at scale say, okay, this impression, has it met all the different criteria that the advertiser has asked for? If yes, approved, pay for it, automatically reconcile. That's the concept. And then the added value as well as a marketer is that because you're going through log level data, you get access to a much deeper level of insights, which you would not be able to before when they used to share with us aggregated reports. And so we did a case study recently with one of our clients, KFC. We manage their media and marketing across 11 markets in the MENA region. And we did 2 tests, basically. One, two samples. One was a control, one was a test sample. And we ran both campaigns. Everything was exactly the same in terms of the targeting, the pre-bid filters, the inventory sources, all of that was exactly the same. The only thing that was different was the insights that we're generating from this blockchain test. We were implementing these insights into the test sample. And we kept the control sample as is, as if we never integrated blockchain. The results were quite impressive. So we saw, we did 2 tests actually. The first test, we saw a 32% reduction in wasted spend. So that's from our own data. And then we verified it with a third-party data from Moat. Moat is an ad verification tool, a third-party data to say that if this is true. And they've also seen an uplift in viewability. The second test that we did was where we saw 35% reduction in wasted spend, and as well a third party sort of validating it. So in general, we're seeing a third improvement, 33%. So the idea that integrating blockchain will allow you to either pay the same but get 33% more, or pay 33% less and get the same. That's really the power of it. And whoever's in the digital marketing space might have heard of it because there was some buzz around this activation that we did articles, and it was even named among the top 10 media milestones of 2020 last year. So won't go through the details, but some of the key differentiators, the fact that without blockchain, it's more probabilistic data. So you're looking at historical data and guessing what would happen next. Whereas with blockchain, it's deterministic data and it's in real time, because it's impression by impression, you're able to optimize in real time. Obviously more transparency and a bigger data. So some of the advantages, but also that analytics piece, because we have log level data, you're able to analyze at even a website level and a placement level, which is something that we were never able to do before. Gave us really interesting, deep, advanced insights. So my final, closing 2 slides is basically to say that's great. I mean, we're seeing some really positive results and the industry is growing, but we're not there yet. So just a quick reality check to say that this is not really a comprehensive solution. For a comprehensive solution, we would need really 4 things. One is scalability with the technology. Currently, what's happening is that there are millions and billions of transactions, actually, impressions during a day. So what's happening is that they're being batched and then sent to the blockchain. Ideally, this should be impression by impression, but the scale is not there yet. Obviously, we'll get there. We're looking at layer 2 solutions coming within hopefully the next year or 2, hopefully. And then a bit longer, maybe 3-4 years from now, 5 years from now, digital identity, to be able to prove that the person that they are claiming they've served the ad to is actually that person, and also to deduplicate these people, because a person might be on the website versus on their mobile phone. So how do you prove it's the same person, or you're not talking to just different devices of the same person? So yeah, these 2 things are more technical, and obviously we have some of the smartest people in the world among you guys as well, who are working on these solutions, and we'll find a solution within the next 3 to 5 years. The next 2 problems are more from an industry perspective. So for it to succeed, we really need all parties to be in, because the power of blockchain and the benefit you'll get is when you're working with your entire ecosystem across one single source of truth, and standardization for all of us to agree on what does an impression mean, because as you might know, what Google might call an impression, Facebook might calculate it in a different way. So we'll need to standardize what does that mean, so that we can all agree on that consensus mechanism. However, it's a step closer. So previously, as advertisers, you would be able to just get visibility up to this dotted line here, whereas today with this solution on blockchain, you're giving us a bit more deeper visibility into your supply path. However, it's not fully there yet. We're hoping the sell side will start integrating as well, and eventually be able to reach a point where we have the entire ecosystem following one single source of truth and one single number being reconciled in an automated and trustless manner. And with that, thank you for your time. Open for any questions you may have. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.